have right here beside you?
This is Erik. He's my brother. He's 31, turning 32 pretty soon here. Yeah, just been my brother my whole life.
Very nice. Now, you guys, I originally found your post because you were talking about kind of after RFK Jr.'s comments. Talk to me a little bit about your first reaction. About after those comments, there was a lot of people who were a little frustrated with that, but what was your first reaction?
First reaction was, I looked at Twitter. I saw some people upset that he wasn't being clear with what part of the spectrum he was talking about. Like, the type of autism Erik has is very different than high functioning people with Asperger's, right? So I understand a little bit of the frustration there with how it was worded, but I was really frustrated with some of the tweets I saw, with people purposely, obviously, trying to act like severe autism doesn't exist. I saw tweets from people like, Jamel Hill, Elizabeth Warren, people basically saying, my friends, have sons that have jobs and they're totally fine. Like, RFK is, saying bad things about them, when RFK is really speaking about people like my brother. And so I thought, okay, either they're taking this out of context on purpose, or they simply don't know. So I was like, okay, I should probably post and show Erik to the world, because we've never personally heard of anyone stick up for someone like Erik, ever. So I was like, all right, well, now's the time. I'm gonna try to show Erik to the world, and maybe people will understand where RFK is coming from.
Right. What is Erik's experience like? I know that you said he was 30. Does he live with you guys, or where does he live now?
So he just turned 31, and prior to that, his first 30 years of his life, my mom took care of him all the time. She still does often. She'll go to his group home, but we live in St. Augustine. He has a group home, has farm animals and amazing caretakers, and great staff to take care of his medicine and things like that, and food. So he lives there full time, but my mom will still go take him home, hang out with him, try to do sleepovers and stuff. It's not great for his routine to take him out of there, but he spends most of his time there.
Right. Now that's obviously a burden, and certainly, I mean, obviously not a burden because you love him, but there are things that difficulties that come with it, whether it be time and finances. What has that experience been like for your family?
So, I mean, that's really why I want to make the video, because it is a burden, and people don't feel comfortable saying that. But what my mom has done, she had my brother when she was 21. She's healthy, never had any problems. 21 years old, and it's been 31 years now of her taking care of him. She said no to her dreams of her career, her professions, all these things. She just put them to the side for Erik and I, right? She worked extremely hard. She worked a job. She was a single mom. My dad was there, but they were split. And so it's extremely tough. And what people don't understand is the reason why we want to figure out what causes autism and why rates have been increasing, whether that's from better diagnosing, more tools, more awareness, whatever it may be, is because ultimately, severe autism is a very tough thing, and Erik does have Down syndrome as well. But autism is what causes his GI issues, a lot of his behavioral issues, head banging, punching, hitting, and that's why Erik's in a home now, because my mom can't physically take care of him when he's hitting her and all those things. Like, you need a group of people. So we're very thankful for the caretakers at Center for Living for that.
There's been a lot of discussion, especially since he came into his role as the HHS secretary, about autism. Probably for I don't remember hearing much about it as much as I have in the past 365 days. You hear people talking about vaccines as well. There's been back and forth. Like, RFK originally said that perhaps vaccines could cause it, and then he walked it back. What do you guys think about that, as far as like vaccines and the correlation with autism?
Well, I personally love the liberal stance of believe all women, and pretty much everyone who thinks that vaccines cause autism are moms who are really normal people that took their kids to get vaccinated and were different. That's what they believe. So you can believe them or not, but just be consistent whatever you believe. For me personally, I honestly haven't done enough research for me to fully know. I know my mom's done a ton of research, but yeah, I mean, if I was running, like, I do business content, like I have a lot of businesses, so I focus very strongly on that side of things, and if I could think of the perfect business, it would be one where everyone on the planet has to take my product. They have to take it yearly, and I can't get sued for anything that happens. You know what I mean? So that's the problem I have with it, is because it just seems a little immoral for how that operates.
Right. No, that definitely makes sense. And especially I feel like there's been a lot of conversations about just the cost of health and health insurance this past year as well. And I don't know if you can express this, or this might be something like your mom would put input on, but I guess what over the last 3 decades, what has that looked like financially to kind of care for someone with autism?
It's extremely expensive. I think Erik has had 28 plus surgeries now. Those are really tough. We were in California. California does have good assistance with some of those things. Obviously, with how healthcare changed from, I think it was the CARE Act onwards, it got a little bit tougher. You know, he lost some of his doctors and things like that. But overall, it's been a pretty tough financial burden as well, because he constantly has problems medically that need to be tended to.
Right. And I was looking up because, I don't really know a ton of people with autism. What I know about autism really truly is from like Love on the Spectrum. So I was just like trying to do some research last night and over the past few days about, what are the causes and stuff like that. And right now, at least from my research, says that there's not any absolute known causes, but there are environmental factors and some other things, genetics that come into play as well. What do you hope what do you think finding the cause of autism would look like, and then what does that look like?
Yeah, I mean, I've done the same thing, went on ChatGPT, Perplexity, and started asking like, okay, well, what causes autism? And the big thing is, it says could be partially genetic, could be, epigenetic, where it's environmental factors that play into certain genetics and things like that. It's no one knows. So obviously those answers I would hope could be solved so that we can move away from them, either societally, where, it's either things that we're taking, or things that we're ingesting, or things that we're spraying on our food, whatever it may be. It could be a slew of different factors, and most likely is multivariate and tough for us to understand. But I think it should be a much more important thing to focus on. And again, Erik's situation is much different than like Love on the Spectrum, right? I watch that show with my girlfriends, we laugh, we cry, it's so funny. And I know my mom and I wish so badly that could be Erik's life. But that side of the spectrum is completely different than, more severe cases of autism, which make up about like 25-26% of the spectrum.
Right. I think RFK said that he's hoping to have some sort of answers by September. I guess, let me ask you this too, and you guys feel free to answer how you want, but do you guys have any theories as far as, the way that he grew up, as maybe he had a lot of Fruit Loops that have like, red dye in them? I don't know, do you guys have any theories about like what could potentially have caused his autism?
Yeah, so.
Or what was different maybe?
Yeah, so my mom, Erik was born with Down syndrome, obviously. He has the Robertsonian translocation, which is a type of autism.
Or Down syndrome.
Or type of Down syndrome, I mean. And autism, my mom and many other moms believe doesn't start at birth. It's something that changes from environmental factors, and it's usually very early stages. That's what we've seen. So my mom, again, believes it is vaccines that caused it, and she, like many other moms, were like, okay, doctor, like, I trust you, give my brother, or give my son 20, give him everything, make sure he's healthy, you know what I mean? I think it's probably hard to do a multivariate study with every potential vaccine that there is. And at the end of the day, if you give everyone everything, of course, we're human bodies, like, we're gonna react differently, right? Now, me personally, I still, I'm not someone who's saying, like, let's shut down vaccines entirely, and my mom, we disagree on that, but yeah, it could be. I mean, I honestly don't care one way or the other. I would actually just like to know, and see if we can do things to, we're losing him, come here, do things to help either way.
No, that definitely makes sense. Were there any vaccines that maybe Eric took that you didn't take, or did you guys take the same? I'm just curious.
Yeah, my mom basically didn't let me take much at all. Through religious exemptions and things like that, she changed it up a lot. So you never know. I mean, the other thing my mom says is Erik was verbal when he was younger, like he could say words and things like that. Took vaccines and then lost that. So like that's where my mom really feels strongly about it. But again, I'm just not as well versed. Honestly, I wasn't there. And again, Eric's. It's just the moms really that would pay attention to this. You know what I mean? No one else on the planet would, unless it was your son. Everyone else has so many of their own things going on. Even if you're, if it was just me, my mom would not care about other people, right? She would be so worried in her own world about me, the other son. Like, people don't have time to look into this and actually care unless it's your son.
Yeah, no, for sure.
And we've never heard someone like RFK say, hey, let's get to the bottom of it. Like, we're like, what? That's kind of interesting. Like, sure, we'd like to figure out what's causing it or how we can reduce it going forward.
I could chat with you guys all day long. I'm a yapper, and also too, you guys just seem so nice. I know it's Easter, you want to celebrate Erik's birthday. Is there anything else that you guys think is really important for people to know as we talk about autism and some of RFK's comments, vaccines, causes, anything else that we didn't talk about?
Just informed consent. I think you don't have to have your children get vaccinated right away, despite all the pressure that you'll face from the hospital. So again, if you wait, your kid is not going to get measles. You know what I mean? So just having informed consent when you're at that time in your life. And go Tigers, by the way, Mills.
No, go Cox. Confused. Well, thank you guys so much for your time. If you are able to send me any pictures of you guys as a family or anything, that would be super, super helpful.
Of course.
I just